all of this has been illegal. Because if there's no factual basis, if there's no evidence for what has been going on, then there's no legal basis. So this is illegal, this is unconstitutional, as one of the courts in Germany has found already. I forgot to mention that we have 3 decisions by courts of law which explicitly state that the PCR tests cannot be a basis for anything, for quarantines, for mask mandates, for prohibiting demonstrations or rallies, etc. I forgot to mention which courts rendered these decisions. One is the Portuguese court, that was in October of last year, I believe. Then came, I think in January or so of this year, came court in Austria, and finally a German court on April the 8th. And that was the first court. All of these decisions are excellent decisions. But the German decision was the first one that used actual expert testimony by one of the people who we interviewed on our Corona committee, Professor Ulrike Kemmerer. She's a biologist. She knows everything about PCR tests. So we have 3 decisions already. We need some major breakthrough decisions. That's why we're putting a lot of hope on the American case, on the Canadian case that has been filed. Another one will be filed, class actions. And hopefully the South African case, which should have been filed weeks ago. For some reason, it was slowed down, but hopefully that case will be filed very soon too.
Please educate us to make it clear. Your class action is against those individuals or pharmaceutical companies, or
no? The cases that we filed, the complaints that we filed here in Germany, are against individuals: Drosten, Wheeler, and one of these so-called fact checkers, who are, of course, not fact checkers, but they're paid to defame people. The other cases that have been filed, there's one case in Canada that was filed by our friend, very experienced attorney, Michael Swinwood. He filed a real class action case, and that is going to be an international class action. However, his case was dismissed, so he had to write, and he did write, an excellent appellate brief. Now it is pending on appeal. Pretty soon, I think, there will be a hearing. The Americans are planning a big class action case. They're working on this already, and I've just spoken with some of the people who are involved in that. They want me to join that case. I'm going to join and help as much as I can, but I have much more court experience in the German courts than I have in the American courts. So I would rather be one of the people who assists, but we need a very experienced lawyer, like my friend George Wentz, for example, to lead the team.
What do you think? There are many who have realized something is wrong and they want to do something, but when they start digging what's all behind, they eventually find out the enemy is too big. What's the message that you can share to those people?
That's a very good question. It's a question that pretty much everyone on this planet is asking. Is there any use in fighting back? They're so powerful. Well, the only reason they're so powerful is because they stole our money. That's what they've been doing for probably decades. We know, for example, there's a German problem which has to do with tax fraud. And the very rich and the very powerful banks are involved in this. It is called a Cum-Ex scandal. This has been going on for at least 12 years, and they stole 38 billion euros from the German taxpayers by way of a very, very simple fraud. What they did is, if, for example, a corporation paid in 2020 paid, let's say, 1 million euros in taxes, and then they realized, oh, we can, in our tax return, when we file our tax return, we can ask the state to repay us what we have paid. Sometimes there is a good reason for that, but you can only get back from the state the taxes that you've paid. In this example, 1 million, not 2 million, not 3 million, but that's what they did. That's what they did. and they stole, and you don't have to be a lawyer to understand that that is fraud. It is very obviously fraud. But this is one of the most blatant examples of how they stole our money. Catherine Austin Fitts explained to us how they, in the United States, how in the late 1980s, they stole $61 trillion from the American taxpayers and used it for their own purposes up in orbit and to build infrastructure below the surface of the earth and other things. Something similar happened in Europe about the same time. She explained to us another 61 trillion euros were stolen from the Europeans. I think NATO was involved in that. And there's so many examples. So that's the only reason why the other side is so powerful, because they stole our money and we're going to have to get it back from them. I don't think Bill Gates will remain the largest landowner in the United States. If everything comes out, and it will come out, then he's going to have to return that land to the American people. Same thing is happening all over the world. A bunch of people, and you have to keep in mind, the other side is not just one monolithic block. It's different interests with lots of infighting. They're fighting each other. Right. So there's lots of room for us because of the mistakes that they're making. There's lots of room for us to fight back.